Thank you, Leticia. Ms. Perez. We're going to move on to our second question. Mayor Tarvey, the county is facing tremendous budget challenges. In your view, how can the county balance the budget while still providing necessary services?
Well, I think that everyone's facing the same problem throughout the states, and I have to give you an example of what took place in our little city. We had to lay off some employees, but the sticking point was that most of the council were working people, as I was myself, and usually what you hear is you always start at the bottom cutting, and I kind of looked at the idea of starting somewhere in the top, where you can get more bang for your buck. And I felt that there were some individuals there that we probably could part-time them and do some different things other than paying off all the insurance and those sort of things. But it took a while, but we finally got to the point where we had to do something. And I hope what we've done now is the best solution for what we've done. But again, it starts at the top and not the bottom, and that's where you got to look if you're going to cut the fat out of it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Tarver. Ms. Perez, would you like me to repeat the question?
Please.
The county is facing tremendous budget challenges. In your view, how can the county balance the budget while still providing necessary services?
We have to learn how to do more with less. We don't know what's going to happen at the state level, but we have a pretty good sense that cuts are coming even more than we've experienced currently, and that we have to brace ourselves for the tremendous challenges that we face at the local level and the allocation of resources. What we have learned and what we have seen time and time again is that our departments don't necessarily work hand in hand, and they aren't looking at ways in which to increase the efficiency of the services that we provide. I'll give you one example. I've learned recently from employees of the Department of Mental Health that 50% of the mental health patients who are coming out of the prison system and have now been realigned into the jurisdiction of Kern County are not making it to their first appointment. What do we see from this population? We find them in the emergency rooms, we find them homeless, find them committing crime, and engaging in a tremendous cost on the residents of Kern County, the taxpayers of Kern. What we discovered is that if probation could work closely with mental health to transport a person within 1 week of their exit from CDC and get them into their first appointment, that we would, within 1 week, have them on their medications, have them into stable housing, and reduce the cost to the county by 9 times. These are the kind of small changes that we have to be aggressively asserting ourselves to make as we think about the manner in which county departments function amongst themselves and on a broader scale. We have to look at the fraud and the waste that exists within our county departments because they are costing us unnecessarily. I commit to reviewing every department in this county for the fraud, the fat, if you will, the waste, and making sure that departments work closely, they work efficiently. Tax dollars should always be used efficiently, and we should always be cautious in how we spend taxpayer dollars. We can do it, we have to be open about it, we have to be honest, and put political correctness aside, and let's fix it.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Supervisor Go, would you like me to repeat? The county is facing tremendous budget challenges. In your view, how can the county balance the budget while still providing necessary services?
We indeed are facing tremendous budget challenges. But the way that we get out of that is to stimulate the economy. It's essential that the county does everything possible to get people back to work, to remove barriers to economic development, to create a business-friendly culture so people will come here and so that our business can thrive. We have taken some steps recently, as you know. Pensions were a huge, huge issue that had been pending for quite a while, and we took the necessary steps with the agreement of our negotiating unions to come to some closure on that. That is going to save you, the taxpayers, many, many dollars in the years to come. It's essential that we start with those things that are costing us the most. Accountability, absolutely. We have to ask for that degree of accountability from every department head. I've been privileged in this last year and a quarter to visit all of the departments, some of whom have not had a visit in recent years. And I get to ask those tough questions. Why are we doing things this way? As the newbie, I've been able to do that. With my business background, I've been able to ask those questions and try to get people out of just the same old, and to create situations of innovation where people feel free to innovate and to take some risks under calculations and wise risks, but will come up with creative solutions. We have to work on prevention. We can't lock people up together, and if we start investing our money in the early stages before we invest the money and locking people up, that's essential. We can choose to spend $1.7 to $2.3 million on one high-risk youth, or we can invest in prevention. I choose to invest in prevention and encourage our departments to do that, encourage our departments to get back to creating jobs, and that's by getting out of the way of the private sector and out of our nonprofits and collaborating more fully. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Doe. The third question, Ms. Perez, you're going to be the first up. And the question is, public employee pensions have become a key issue, both locally and throughout the state. What are your views on this issue, and what can be done in the county? What can be done to address it?
You know, I do have to applaud the efforts of public employee unions who have taken great strides to come to the table and have said, we recognize that we're doing less with more. And really, I don't think they get enough credit for the sacrifices they have made, and I really believe it is our job to encourage that kind of sacrifice on the part of public employee unions. And the more we come to the table and talk openly about the challenges the budget faces, the more that we can reach compromise, the more that we cannot put the burden on working families to balance the budget of Kern County. There are many ways to increase efficiency in Kern County. There are ways in which we can increase the tax base here, spend our money more efficiently, and still tighten our belts. All of us here are families. We all have to learn to do more with less in tough times. And I am pleased to see the efforts on the part of our unions to make the sacrifice, to give up benefits that they have had, and to say they realize they need to do their part. I think all of us need to have that same recognition. The board, other factors of county government need to come to the table and recognize that we all have to make sacrifices. And so to those who have made them, I say thank you. I think we need to do more of that. We need to keep the lines of communication open so that as California changes increasingly and we have to potentially make additional cuts, that we ensure that all of us equally are bearing the costs, making the sacrifice together, and being open about what our budget really looks like and what it means. Our priority should always be on the creation of jobs, creating the infrastructure and the regulatory release to ensure that private industry can thrive, so that we have a healthy tax base so our working families can produce. I believe that the key to any successful community is a healthy family that can live financially independent, that can have the dignity of hard work, and be able to support themselves. And so I support efforts by the county to encourage our working families to make sacrifices where necessary, but continue to do the great work of service provision in this county.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Supervisor Go, you're next, and I'll go ahead and repeat the question. Public employee pensions have become a key issue, both locally and throughout the state. What are your views on this issue, and what can the county do to address it?
Thank you. In my over a decade in managing hundreds and hundreds of employees at the McGraw-Hill companies, I saw that our greatest asset is people. And yes, indeed, our greatest asset are the people who work together with us. They must be paid fairly, they must have fair benefits, and they must thrive in an environment that supports them. It's my honor to be able to work with such dedicated employees at the county level. We do not have an abundance of funds at this time, and yes, indeed, we all had to come together to make compromises so that we could cut back in those areas where we could cut back so that essential services for all of you could be provided. I thank the unions for coming together with the supervisors to reach that compromise where it's going to be saving a lot of money. In the days ahead, we look at what are those things that are going to be most valuable to supporting our employees, but at the same time saving